say we've lost our way, but waiting patiently in everything is truth. How can we be the change? How can we start this change? Let's take a step back from the brink, look into each other's eyes, reach out for that central link and organize. Reaching the rays of hope, guiding the ways to go. The central link, the central link, the central link.
Please join us on the Central Link.
Hi, I'm Connie Schmotzer, Consumer Horticultural Educator for Penn State Extension here in York County and Master Gardener Coordinator as well. Welcome to John Rudy Park. The gardens here at Rudy Park were created by the York County Probation Department and the Penn State Master Gardeners. And I want to talk to you specifically today about pollinators. Penn State has been doing a great deal with pollinators in the last few years, and that's because pollinators are in trouble. Most of you have probably heard about the colony collapse disorder that is happening nationwide and worldwide with the honeybees, but a lot of folks aren't aware that besides the European honeybee, we have many native bees such as sweat bees, leafcutter bees, carpenter bees, bumblebees that do a lot of pollination services for us. And we Master Gardeners are very interested in asking you to help us to help these pollinators. Why are pollinators in trouble? A lot of it has to do with habitat. As we change the face of the area with housing development, taking away the woodlands, places that pollinators would normally live, they no longer have much in the way of food sources or nesting places. And that can all be changed if we will make a few changes within our garden. Here at Penn State Extension, we are doing quite a few different things to help the pollinators. First of all, several years ago, we started the idea of pollinator monitoring. And Master Gardeners throughout the state put in pollinator demonstration gardens such as the one that you see here, to give folks an idea of how they can create gardens themselves. We also monitored for bees, and you'll be hearing a little bit more about that as we go through the segment today, just to find out what kind of pollinators we actually have in each area at present. Third thing we did was created a pollinator certification friendly garden program, where you can certify your garden, and we'll talk more about that in a little bit as well. Well, why is Penn State spending so much time trying to educate the public about pollinators? Well, it's actually quite simple. Pollination is what drives our ecosystem and actually drives our food supply as well. You may not be aware that pollinators are actually responsible for 1 out of every 3 bites of food that we eat. And insects are our biggest pollinators. They will be transferring pollen from the stamen of one plant to the stigma of another. And that results in fertilization, which results in fruit or seed set. And without this, we don't eat. So it is very, very important. Who are the pollinators? The insect pollinators, butterflies you are probably most familiar with. And butterflies do pollinate flowers, although they're not quite as efficient because their legs hold them above the flower, and their bodies don't actually brush the pollen so much and pick it up. Flies can be very good pollinators. There are flies that look just like bees, that mimic bees, and move from one flower to another. And actually, some of these flies, the larval stage is actually a very good pest removal. They will eat aphids and other pests that bother your plants. Beetles can be very good pollinators, and some plants rely on beetles. You can also have slugs. Even mice can move pollen around. But the number one pollinator that we rely upon are the bees, because their body structure is actually made for pollination. They have hairy bodies that readily pick up pollen. Some of them have actual little pollen packets on their legs where they can store pollen, and they're feeding pollen to their young. So they are deliberately moving from flower to do this. The other issue that pollinators have is the pesticides that we use. Because whenever we put pesticides on a plant and a bee visits it, or a butterfly or any other pollinator, they are impacted. So one of the things we are doing with our pollinator program is to try to help homeowners understand the role of pesticides in the garden and how they can be more pollinator friendly. Joining me here today are three master gardeners that are very involved in our pollinator program. I'd like to introduce them to you. I have Sally Rothrock, Pat Utter, and Priscilla Waldman. And they're going to guide you through some other facets of pollinator gardening in the rest of this segment.
For a pollinator garden, it's important to have a succession of flowers available for the pollinators that come in. Native plants are more preferred by insects 4 times greater than other non-native plants. They also want to have a variety of plants, of flowers, shapes, so that different insects are attracted. As you see here in this butterfly weed, the clusters form a landing pad for a butterfly so that it can extract the pollen. Also, the monarda right here has a landing pad which is happy for butterflies and hummingbirds also. And now here we have the Echinacea purpura, known as the pink cone flower. As you can see, this has a wide landing space for a butterfly to land on. It makes it an excellent pollinator plant. In contrast to this Ruellia humilis, which has a neck on the flower that is handy for smaller bees to go in to gather their nectar. One important fact is that butterflies need host plants on which to lay their eggs so that their larvae can eat on that plant. They are very specific. The milkweed is a host plant for monarch butterflies. Here we have common milkweed. Next to it we have verticillata, Asclepias verticillata, a very fine plant but just as attractive to the butterflies. And next to that is Asclepias tuberosa, the beautiful orange flower. And over here we have the purple milkweed that is much smaller than the common milkweed, but just as tasty to the butterflies.
The health tip of the week, or any advice on this program, is for educational purposes only and is not intended as a replacement for qualified health care. Please consult your physician or healthcare provider before making any changes or starting new treatments.
You know, we're right in the thick of the summer harvest, the summer garden harvest. And this is the time of the year to not only eat all of these yummy, yummy, yummy squash and beans and corn and tomatoes and just all of this stuff, but it's a time to really be thinking about putting away some stores for the winter. You know, the squirrels don't just eat up all the acorns. They make sure that they put some away to carry them through the winter, and our ancestors did too. Now, they didn't have dehydrators like we do now, but they did have methods of dehydrating foods. You know, they canned foods. They actually smoked, meats and those types of things. And I think it would just be in our best interest for all of us to learn about storing food. So get yourself some books, go online, learn about dehydrating, learn about canning, learn about fermenting. It's interesting, one of the greatest natural sources of vitamin C is from fermented vegetables. Things like sauerkraut and chow chow and pickle lily and kimchi. So learn, while you're enjoying all the local summer produce, learn about putting some away for the winter and let's all start stocking up. I'm Willa from Sunnywald Natural Foods with the health tip of the week. Sunnywald Natural Foods. Good health comes from the farm, not the pharmacy.
Hi, my name is Michael Brothers. I'm a local artist and I have been painting watercolors since 2004. This is a piece of my watercolor collection that I painted, and his name is Miles, and the reason he has that look, this was his first day seeing snow. This is another piece from Montecatini Alto in Italy. I photographed this couple having lunch, and when I got my photos back, I looked at it and I thought, wow, the emotion that these two people had, and I'm calling this serenity. This watercolor is of a scene from Lancaster County in Pennsylvania, and it was done to enter into a cover show for one of the art magazines in our area. This watercolor is a painting of some of my antiques. I'm photographing them, editing them, and then I paint it on watercolor paper. Those are the three loves that I have. Again, my name is Michael Brothers, and I love painting watercolors. Thank you.
Eco York is a different type of web development company. Not only can we develop websites that save you time and money, but will also help you become more eco-friendly. Are you a member of a referral group? Check out our product, EcoFurl. Need a custom product so you can save time and money? Eco York goes above and beyond out-of-the-box software and develops custom applications that can save your business time and money. Are you a maid service company in need of an online estimate tool? Check out our other product, Compass Wave. Do you find yourself performing a tedious task every day? We'll help you perform that task in a more efficient way. No matter where we are, you can count on us to take care of your website's needs. Hi, I'm Mark Lane, President of Eco York. Let us show you what makes us different. Give us a call or visit us online today.
Natural Awakenings is a free monthly magazine about natural health and sustainable living. Look for Natural Awakenings wherever free publications are available or online at naturalcentralpa.com. Feel better, live simply, and laugh more with Natural Awakenings magazine.
Besides using bare ground and leaving all the stalks up in the wintertime, you can use man-made houses for the solitary bees. This is one that has blocks of wood similar to this one, but each of the rows have different size holes which invites different size bees, and they will go in the hole, lay an egg, fill it up with mud, lay another egg, fill that up with mud until they get the chamber, which would be approximately this wide, filled, and then in the spring they'll hatch out. And you can use this one. This one's got little tubes of paper so that you don't have to clean it out. You can just throw those away. This is a Ceanothus or New Jersey tea, which is just over blooming now. But it's very important to hummingbirds because it attracts so many tiny insects that when the hummingbirds need the protein for their babies, that is when they're in bloom, and it's a smorgasbord for them. Any of the trees that you have in your yard, maple trees, and all of those, all will have anything that will bloom
will be a good pollinator, and it will give insects and different pollinators a chance to get the nectar, and many of them are host trees. The dogwoods are host trees to the azure butterflies.
So Connie's mentioned that we have some issues with bees and disappearing and all of the issues around what causes that. In 2009, we began a pollinator monitoring process. It's statewide for Pennsylvania. There were several counties that participated, having their master gardener teams go out to various gardens and monitor to determine what kinds of pollinators, especially bees, were available and what bees were working on what particular plant species. We've been doing that since 2009, and we've discovered that there are some issues with the way that we've been monitoring, and so we've been refining the process. For this year, we're actually taking a little bit of a break, and we have planted a new garden. You saw the garden that Sally and Pat showed you. That's our current pollinator garden, and we're still looking at that. We're still doing work with that, but the actual monitoring process itself is going to take place again beginning in 2013. The ultimate goal here is two things really. One is to determine, are we seeing as many bees as we have been seeing over a course of time? And the second is to look at what plants are in fact attracting what kinds of bees, so that we can use that for educational material for people who are interested in helping support the health of bees. I just want to show you really quickly the garden over here. This is the garden we just planted this week that we'll be using in 2013 to support our monitoring process. As you can see, the plants are quite small. We call these plugs, and what we've planted is we've planted a straight species of 3 different plants, and we've planted then cultivars and hybrids of that particular plant species. What we want to see is, does the native species itself attract more pollinators than the cultivars? Are they equal, or are the cultivars actually more attractive to the bees? These plugs that we put in here, by next year, are going to reach the maturity of the plants over here in our pollinator garden that you saw earlier with Sally and Pat.
Well, now that you know a little bit about pollinators and how you might create a pollinator-friendly garden, we'd like to invite you to participate in our Pollinator-Friendly Garden Certification Program. Penn State is certifying gardens throughout the state that meet the criteria of providing food, providing water, providing nesting habitat, and safeguarding pollinators by not using pesticides. You can go to our website if you're interested. It's http://ento.psu.edu/pollinators. And it will walk you through all the steps. It will also give you links to fact sheets and other information if you want to learn more. You can also contact the Extension Office at Pleasant Acres here in York if you are looking for more information on pollinators. We have fact sheets on how to build solitary bee houses, fact sheets on various plants, and we'd be very happy to help you get started. Once you certify, you will receive a certificate indicating that you are a pollinator certified garden. And then you have the opportunity to buy the garden sign that will let your neighbors know that you are helping pollinators.
I'd like to talk today about attracting pollinators to your property or your garden. First of all, I guess we need to talk about what is pollination. Well, pollination is any transfer of male pollen from male flowers to female flowers. That's what pollination is, and a lot of insects, a lot of different ways that takes place. Some just by air, but at any rate, a lot of flowers require some type of physical pollination. Some of the things that do pollination for us, we have, of course, honeybees, bumblebees, hummingbirds, which is always nice to have on your property. Also, we have moths and many other, some areas even have bats doing pollination. So at any rate, what we'd like to do today is just mention a few things that would help attract pollinators to your property. First of all, I'd like to talk about plant species. Okay, it's good to plant native plants. That fits in with our local ecology a little better with the pollinators that are here. Many things that I have set out here you can see are great for pollination. Hummingbirds particularly like this Diplodemia. It has a narrow throat and that fits their beak very well, and that's they love that. This is sage. Any kind of sage is a good pollinator. Here we have fuchsia. Again, in a hanging basket or even this upright variety, very good for pollinators. They enjoy that. This is a Calibrachoa, which is really like a mini petunia. Also, the throats suit many different pollinators that they can get in there at that pollen. Impatiens, and also, of course, your standard petunia. Again, it's something that has that narrow throat for a hummingbird. Another thing that will attract pollinators to your property is herbs, which you'll also have for cooking, but here we find out that they are very good attractants for pollinators. We have lavender, basil, peppermint, and sage. The flowers of all these really do attract pollinators. A couple other things you can do to increase their numbers in your area. Select plants during the summer with a wide range of blooming. In other words, if you go with all one type of plant, when its cycle is over and it's done blooming, there's nothing to sustain the pollinators. So you want to have material blooming nearly all summer. Another thing you can do is provide a water source. That will help it draw them. There are some ways like nesting sites that you can leave, even some unkept areas. All those things would draw pollinators. One thing that I did just a couple weeks ago, I had some wood ashes left in my wood stove, and I put them outside on the ground, and within a day or two it rained and it made like a paste. When that dried, it was covered with butterflies. Butterflies really are attracted to sea salt or any kind of wood ash like that. They're really, I guess they need the potassium. Another way is for flowering pots on your porch. The more flowers that we provide for them, the more pollinators you'll have. I guess the last point I'd like to make is please be careful with pesticides. Use them sparingly, and if you must use them on the parts of the plant other than the flower, and it'll be very easy on your pollinators. I'm Dave Miller with Miller Plant Farm, and thank you for watching your Garden Tip of the Week.
Hi, I'm Jess with Racehorse Productions. Do you need a high-quality professional video for your business, product, service, event, or something else? We at Racehorse Productions have a motto: if you can dream it, we can film it. For all your video needs, give us a call. We would love to work with your idea or help create one for you. Thank you, and remember, if you can dream it, we can film it.
Natural Awakenings is an effective marketing vehicle for your business. The magazine reaches a highly responsive, niche audience in your area. Learn how Natural Awakenings can help your business grow at naturalcentralpa.com. Feel better, live simply, and laugh more with Natural Awakenings magazine.
Okay, I'm George Petro. I've been a beekeeper since 1974. Went through a lot of trials and errors with bees because like with the Varroa mite, they cleaned me out in '97. And I was about ready to give up, but then I bought some more hives, and then kept on going. Today I have 12 hives of bees. About 3 of them are swarms that I captured, and others that I had bought. I overwintered 9 hives out of 10, so I thought I was doing pretty good. And one of the problems with the bees that way is in the fall they don't have enough local pollen and nectar to source anymore, and so you have to feed them. So I feed them a lot of sugar water and pollen in the fall. Look at all the bees there. Can you see them? That means it's a pretty good sized hive. They're looking pretty docile, so we may not have too much trouble. But I'll find out when I start tearing it apart. What you don't want to do is make a lot of noise, because that gets them more excited. So you kind of move slow and keep the noise down, the bumps down. Now this is looking pretty good in here. I'm going to see if I can pull a frame out for you. And since I don't have a queen excluder in, the lower half of this is filled with the drone brood. And they have their honey up here where these are all recently hatched out bees. They're called the hive bees. And they take care of all the brood. And if you can look in closer, you'll see some uncapped brood in there. They always keep a supply of drones handy in case the queen may die or whatever, and they can develop from the larvae that they have. Well, then they can develop a queen cell. I enjoyed having you here, and I hope you enjoy seeing the program. There's a lot to learn about bees. It's a lifelong learning, and if you want to learn more about it, I make your contacts that way. So thanks for coming here, and see you next time.
The Central Link is supported by sponsors, advertisers, and individual donations from viewers like you. To show your support, you can donate through the PayPal link on our website. Help us keep this show on the air.